Hey, I'm Kevin John here with ABC 10, coming to you live in front of Golden One Center. I'm joined by Matt George, Locked On Kings host, also ABC 10 sports reporter, Matt George, and we're here right in front of Golden One Center where they just wrapped up a draft party for the draft. Kings ended up taking at the number 4 overall pick. They went with Keegan Murray, big man who's expected to bring a force and a lot of talent to this front court here. Matt, the reaction was received mixedly with fans. What do you take away from the pick?
Well, I think the pick is an excellent pick. I understand completely fans who are split. The conversation over the last month has really been Jaden Ivey or Keegan Murray. Jaden Ivey, the star guard out of Purdue, or Keegan Murray, this really solid, great basketball story and a really solid all-around player out of Iowa. The Kings went with a player that better fits both their team and their timeline, and I think that's what's really important here. Jaden Ivey might have the higher ceiling, and I understand a lot of Sacramento Kings fans, they look at the draft as the only way that the Sacramento Kings can acquire stars. I totally get that. What I'm telling you is the Sacramento Kings, they're on a timeline right now where they need to win as soon as possible. Keegan Murray helps them better accomplish that goal than Jaden Ivey does.
You say need to win as soon as possible. You got to keep in mind, Domantas Sabonis is only going to be here for a couple of more seasons,
right.
So they have to win now in order to retain and hang on to him. And while we're speaking Sabonis, obviously his sidekick, De'Aaron Fox, the Ox and the Fox, the both of them, we saw a little bit of what they can do last year. But when you bring in Keegan Murray to a tandem like that with De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis, and a big who can shoot, who can stretch the floor, who can protect the rim, who can defend. He can do a lot of things. Very versatile big. When you bring him in to this Kings roster, you immediately see him day one, game one, going out there and making an impact.
Yeah, some classify him as a big. I more classify him as a wing, although what's important is he fills that 4 spot. As of right now, the Sacramento Kings, or at least going into draft day, they had 3 determined starters: Fox, Harrison Barnes, and Domantas Sabonis. They've been looking at filling those other 2 holes, and they're looking to fill them with players that complement De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis' style. This team needs shooting, this team needs high basketball IQ, and this team needs defense. Keegan Murray checks all 3 boxes, so he helps in that way in a major way. And on top of that, I think he can have more to offer that he's going to take time to develop into. I don't think we've seen the best of Keegan Murray.
I think the problem that I just heard with what she just said right there, and the operative word is time to develop. And I think the Kings, we look at this, we don't have time. It's been 16 years, 16 seasons since we made the playoffs. And I say we because I'm in Sacramento, but the Kings have not made the playoffs in 16 years.
Right.
So when you look at time, when you look at develop, I almost feel that the Kings are, or the fan base at least, is over that. We want someone who can come in immediately and make an impact, immediately get over the hump, because like we said, Domantas Sabonis only has a couple of years. You know, this is a win-now situation. I mean, of course, every franchise, there's a process, and you've heard that, trust the process. But I mean, the process here has been 16 years. So at what point is it, okay, forget development, forget a process, we need to put a product on the floor game one who can go out there and get us to the postseason?
Well, I think people forget, too, jobs are on the line with a decision like this. As soon as the number 4 pick falls into your lap, it's an excellent power position to be in, right? But you have to get it right. And I'm not guaranteeing you that Keegan Murray is getting it right. I just think the Keegan Murray pick has a lot lower of a chance of being wrong, and that's the important part. Monte McNair, Kings general manager, he hasn't received a contract extension yet. Now, from every conversation that I've had, he's not in hot water. It's only a matter of time before that extension does come, at least based off of my understanding. But still, if we're talking from a fan perspective, 1, we don't have to be right. 2, we're going to be fans forever. We're not necessarily bothered by the fact that it could take a couple of years for a player like Jaden Ivey to reach that potential versus Monte McNair and the Kings. They have a win-now mandate. They have 2 years of Domantas Sabonis' contract. They need results sooner rather than later. I'm not saying that Jaden Ivey couldn't come in and be a great impact player for the Sacramento Kings next season. I think Jaden Ivey is going to be a great player for the Detroit Pistons. I'm saying Keegan Murray fits overall better. And one thing I'll add to this too, Kevin, I know a lot of fans like Keegan Murray, but they're not happy with the Kings taking Murray at 4. They think he would have been available at 5 or 6, and the Kings could have picked up an asset. Understand that completely. The Kings looked at options. Clearly, they didn't find something that met their price point. And when you're the team in the power position, you stick to those guns. I appreciate what McNair did. He had a high asking price. Nobody matched it. He went out and got his guy anyway.
You talked about the high asking price. I heard something from Cleveland, like they were basically throwing everything and the kitchen sink at McNair in order for the 4th overall pick. And I mean, everybody, Colin Sexton, all of these players who they were throwing in there. I want to say it was around 6 or 7 players. Once again, this was unconfirmed, but we heard all of these things. So like you said, McNair obviously stuck to his guns unless he got exactly what it is he was looking for. Now, something else I wanted to bring up, Matt, you tweeted this out maybe about an hour or so ago, that there was potential, that there was someone still on the board the Kings were looking at, and they were willing to trade up or do something in order to receive that player. Obviously, that fell through, but can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, a source told ABC 10 that the Kings were interested in a player that was still available at the time, and they were looking to potentially use the 37th pick plus an asset or two to move back into the first round of the draft and get that player. No word on who the player was. I found out a little bit later on that that player was eventually selected. Unfortunately, Sacramento not able to pull off that deal. I don't think that's a bad thing for them necessarily, though. They had the idea of another guy they could have added to their roster that would have helped them, but still, in the end, they got the guy that they wanted.
Exactly. Now, just as we wrap things up here, as you said, I just asked you maybe about 10 minutes ago, you said you gave this draft an A. Mm-hmm. The reason I'm going to go back to that is because I'm looking at the roster. Now, obviously, the second round, we're not done with the second round. It's currently going on right now as we speak.
Right.
But as you look at the roster right now, and a roster that's going to start this season with the players who they have, I'm including Keegan Murray on that. You gave it an A for the draft. Do you feel this is a roster that can get the Kings over that dreadful hump of missing the playoffs?
That's a great question. I'm not going to fully commit to any one answer. I will say they're a step closer, but Monte McNair has more work to do. I think we all knew that no matter what the Kings did in this draft, unless they found a way to use this pick and trade for a multitude of proven NBA assets, that the Kings still had work to do. Free agency, typically, Sacramento struggles to add the players that they're looking for. Sacramento, as much as we love this city, not known as a free agency destination in the NBA. That doesn't mean that the Kings can't go out and find talent. Also, the Kings do have pieces on their roster currently that I think do have trade value. We've heard a lot of reports that the Sacramento Kings are interested in John Collins out of Atlanta, maybe making Harrison Barnes available to make that move. So that's out there. The Kings still have plenty of time in this offseason to improve this roster. I don't think they're done. And I guess the best way for me to answer your question, Kevin, is they can't be done if that's their goal.
All right, well, obviously we know what the objective and what the end goal is. Mike Brown talked about it the other day in his introductory press conference. He's not here to have fun. He's here to win. He's here to take care of business, and that started tonight with the 4th overall pick with Keegan Murray. Matt will definitely see what happens from here on out, but obviously a lukewarm response from Kings fans with this pick, and Matt, all I got to say is this: time will tell.
Absolutely. I mean, the draft, and for lack of a better term, the draft is a crapshoot. We have fun every single year. We try and be experts. I'll put my hand in the air first and foremost and say I've been wrong plenty of times, and I could be wrong about Keegan Murray. It doesn't feel like it right now. Seems like the Sacramento Kings, at least to some extent, agree with my perspective. We'll have to wait and see. Ultimately, now that Keegan Murray is a King, I expect this fan base, as wonderful and as loyal as they are, they're going to support him, even the ones that adamantly wanted Jaden Ivey.
Well, there you have it. Eventually, they will rally around Keegan Murray. He is the guy. There's nothing we can do about it now. So, of course, the fan base is going to support him and rally around. And heck, if Keegan Murray plays well on the court and produces, that's the quickest way to make fans celebrate you.
Not if, Kevin, win. I'm telling you, win. I think the Kings are really going to like Keegan Murray.
All right. Well, Matt is really liking that. All right. Well, once again, he's Matt George. I'm Kevin John. You can find him on Twitter, Matt George Sack.
SAC, yes, sir.
And once again, Locked On Kings podcast host as well, so make sure you're looking them up. You can find me on Twitter at HeyKevinJohn. Once again, coming to you right in front of Golden One Center. Thank you for listening.